The LGBT spectrum is truly a marvel of human imagination. Much like Christianity has 30,000 different denominations, this new religion has its own variations as well. We've been told that men who cross-dressed in the past are most likely transgender men who lacked the technology and access to surgeries and the societal acceptance to be who they really were. But people like RuPaul insist that they aren't trans. Drag queens are just another option on the roulette wheel of sexuality. In my view, drag queens are the least authentic actors in the gay community. It's blatant degeneracy for degeneracy's sake. They are male-female impersonators, imbibing the most extreme aspects of feminine characteristics. It almost has a wolf in sheep's clothing feel to it. They're clearly predators dressing up as a less threatening woman. Drag queens are like the Texas of the gay world. Everything is bigger than any rational woman would actually have. The hair is bigger, the fake boobs are bigger, the outfits are the most flamboyant and ridiculous. Their makeup is over the top. Their personalities are over the top and extra dramatic and feminine. Their bones are bigger and their Adam's apples are bigger too, but that's besides the point. All gay people have varying degrees of the stench of unbridled narcissism, but the drag queen wears it as a perfume. You know how they say that shows like Family Guy or South Park are able to get away with more on TV because they're cartoons and not really people? I think that's the idea with drag queens. They are the quiet part said out loud. I think that's why they try to be around kids more than any other sect of the alphabet people. They push the boundaries in every other area, so why not do it in front of kids too? And now we get to the man-made horrors beyond our comprehension, Drag Queen Story Hour. But it's moved beyond that. Now it's just openly inviting children to come see a full-on drag show, to have the kids participate in the show themselves. Every time I do one of these Hell is Empty videos, the biggest challenge is coming up with something to say that isn't just Fed posting. Now that it has the involvement of children, it's infinitely harder to come up with something that doesn't just devolve into violent rhetoric. The cliche response from many people is that calling the other side evil is a cop-out. But at this point in 2022, with everything we've seen, I don't know how else to put it. You don't have to be religious either to call it evil. Who makes the horror movies in Hollywood? Is it the Christians? Of course not. Because everybody innately knows what is evil and what isn't. I'm convinced that these men dress and act the way they do out of spite towards society. They get off on being the freaks. They like making people uncomfortable. That is the point. It's much like the normie version of Satanism. No one is really worshiping Satan. They simply like it for how much it riles up the Christians when they say the trolly kind of things they do. There's few things that can provide that kind of trolling power, and they're attracted to the reactions that it brings. The same thing is going on with drag queens. What would piss off a straight white Christian male the most? Twerking in front of children? Or having the children be sexualized in front of other adults? Or by other adults? Well, then let's do that. And then we'll scamper under the protection of civil rights and the massive network of protections that this privileged group of people have worked hard to form over the decades. So a certain part of this is trolling. But in the words of Saul Alinsky, a good tactic is one that you enjoy. As I said before, drag queens are the quiet part, said out loud faction of the gay community. And this is one aspect of it. The blatant sexualization of children is clearly something that they know will piss people off when they see it, but they also clearly enjoy it themselves as well. Here's how you know it's intentional, okay? I'll use another unrelated group of people as an example. Every third Saturday in my town, they have cars and coffee at a bowling alley parking lot in the bougie part of town, and tons of people show up. It's a great way to spend your morning, perusing the different builds and money that's being flaunted around. But they have these things called rules, and they try to enforce them pretty strictly. They don't allow revving your car, or burnouts, or drifting out of the parking lot, or speeding out of there. And they've brought in police officers to enforce those rules. Are there age limits to these drag shows? Are there rules at the drag shows? Of course not. It's always advertised as family friendly. The more kids, the better. At least strip clubs have the decency to have age limits. If drag queens didn't want children at their shows, you can bet your ass there wouldn't be any at any event they held. But instead, we get ads for drag shows that encourage kids to come. And so kids come. And on top of that, they film it and they put it online. And all this is sponsored by the state. As our society crumbles around us, as real people suffer, what does our government decide to do? Financially back the transvestite pedophiles and sick them on children. Maybe a better way to put it is the pedophiles in government back the pedophiles in public. And then on top of this, we have the whole aspect of the willing parents who've brought their kids to see this sick, disgusting shit. No one forced them. No one is at gunpoint. They're there of their own volition. They thought it was a good idea. It's the same problem we have with abortion. We want it to be banned and think it's evil, but there is demand for it. There's been 60 million abortions. Somebody wanted those abortions and they got them. Somebody wants to go to these drag shows and bring their kids. This just speaks to the extent of the moral decay in our society. When these ideas first get some traction or attention in society, the argument always goes like this. If it's not hurting other people, then what do you care what we do? Just don't do it yourself. And then time goes by and these ideas are allowed to fester and gain acceptance through the media propaganda machine. And now, what is admitted to be hurting is now construed as helpful, as awesome, as family friendly. And who are you to deprive children of this super awesome, totally legitimate thing, you bigot? After all, even children can be this totally awesome thing. Put in the most simple terms I can think of, it's like saying, hey, if I want to eat poop, what do you care? If you don't like it, well then don't eat it. And after 10 years of everyone eating poop, the narrative changes poop to ice cream. And now you're the a-hole if you don't give your kids ice cream. And the school demands that you call it ice cream. And they serve it at school. And you're a Nazi if you don't accept that poop is ice cream. You see how all of a sudden we're not even debating the same issue we were at the start? I want to end this episode with a bit of apocrypha from the Apocalypse According to Peter, which was supposedly written by Peter himself and gives us a glimpse into the inner workings of hell and the punishments people face there. I heard about this years ago, and I'll never forget one of the punishments. Men who defile themselves and act like women are taken to a tall cliff and thrown off by angels. Then the angels force them to crawl back up to the same cliff, and they throw them off again. And this happens over and over again for all eternity. The title of this series is Hell is Empty because the people we highlight should be there, but are instead here on earth wreaking havoc. Anyways, that's all the time I have. If you like this video and type of content, consider giving this video a like or maybe subscribing. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.